Hey everybody, so I am here with the Hilton King, Anthony Venture, and he's the king of Hilton and king of Delta, and the
No.
Ritz-Carlton card too. Hopefully, by the time this is done with. But anyway, so I'm here with my good friend Anthony Venture, and we decided that we have some favorite cards, some favorite top tier hotel cards, and we have some feelings about it. So I think we should talk about it. So Anthony, what do you think?
Well, appreciate you having me here. And without a doubt, by the end of this video, anybody who's watching is going to be on my side. They're all going to say the Hilton Aspire card absolutely dominates the Ritz. And it's not even a close, it's not even going to be a close fight. So I'm excited to see what you
Wow.
got for me. But I've been on
All
both
right.
sides of this argument. So I think I got you.
Okay. All right. Well, since I kind of have home field advantage here today, I'm going to let you go ahead and take it off with the Aspire card. I think that's the one that you're in favor of, right?
Yeah. I have to go first. I like going second because then I could pick things
Oh,
apart.
I can
Yeah.
go first if you want. I can get a nice head of steam going then. Okay.
Okay.
All right,
Sure.
we'll talk about the Ritz then. So the Ritz-Carlton card, first of all, is I've done a number of videos on it, and it's one of my favorites. And it's one of my favorites because, first of all, whenever I talk to my kids about credit cards, my students, they're always like, oh, they always think I'm, like the single richest person in advance because I have a black card. It's like,
Hmm.
I try to be like, oh, it's not the black card, but it's close, right?
Right.
So anyway, the Ritz Carlton card, it's right off the top of the bat, $450 annual fee, and I'm actually going to put that in the pro column. And the reason why is because you get premium card benefits for essentially a discount, basically almost half, right? So this is kind of crazy. So $450 annual fee, but you get $300 travel credit, and so it's billed as an airline incidental credit, but it's pretty wide open. You do have to call in to get it done, but it's not that bad a deal. So that's one of my favorite things. And then also the free night award with Marriott is really cool. And then, the travel protections and the roadside assistance on this thing. So, I know you think you can beat this, but I don't honestly see how. Like this is just the goat of a card right here.
Well, I mean, look, you have some good points here. I think it's all right, but there's a couple things to note, I guess, if you're going to be going for the Ritz-Carlton card. So I guess on the acquisition side of it, first of all, we all know you basically just have to get a Marriott card. Most people get a Marriott Boundless. They'll hold it for a year. They'll pay that $95 annual fee, right? And then they'll upgrade to the Ritz-Carlton. So first year, you're actually paying closer to $540 in annual fees, close to 550, which is actually the exact same annual fee as the Hilton Aspire card, but you don't have to go through the whole rigmarole of waiting a year, getting this card, getting that card, paying two separate annual fees. You just get one card, very easy. And Amex super easy on acquisition. You apply, you get approved if you have a 400 credit score. Honestly, they'll just get you approved, and then you mentioned, all right, one thing I will concede, and usually in debates, I don't concede anything because that's how you lose, but travel insurance is cool. All right. I'll give it up for the people who love the travel insurances. I don't think the Aspire can really hold its weight in that category. It's got some okay things, but I think the Ritz, hands down, you're right. The deal is the travel insurance and stuff like that. So right off the bat, forgetting that, acquisition is about the same cost first year for both cards. It's a lot easier to get the Aspire card than it is for the Ritz. As far as other things, though, so I don't know if you actually mentioned it, but the Free Night Award, I like to bring this up immediately, just kind of bring the hammer down. So the Ritz Carlton card has a nice Free Night Award every single year that you have the card. Again, you gotta take some time to get it. The Aspire card, you get it right, within a few weeks of getting approved for the card, so you get it pretty much instantly. You don't have to wait that much time. The Free Night Award for the Ritz-Carlton card does have a cap, a fairly hard cap at 85,000 points. Obviously, you can top up at 15K, but if you look at a lot of Marriott properties, I mean, I just feel like 85K, 100K, you're kind of getting the short end on some of these properties. I see some of these Ritzes, easily 100K, 120K in certain places. Meanwhile, the Hilton Aspire card is fairly uncapped. It just has to be, a standard room award. But I've recently redeemed a free night with Hilton for a hotel that's worth like $1,500 in cash. It's so easy to use, so easy to book and call in. You get it right away. I just think the value on the free night's better, but I don't know if you disagree, and I'll end there for now.
All right. Well, I'm just gonna. So I know this is. So we talked a little bit about the fact that with the travel credit, you have to call in, right? But this thing has kind of a nice little superpower in that in order to use the Aspire free night credit, you actually have to call and you have to talk to someone. And honestly, okay, so I don't know if you've ever booked a hotel room over the phone, but it's a very boomer experience and it's very nerve-wracking for someone like me because like
Oh, come
whenever
on.
I book, come
It's
on,
not
yeah.
that big of a deal.
No, it's a huge deal. So like here's the thing, like I like to make sure like I got the right room type, I got the right view, like everything's selected, right? Because especially with Hilton, the way that they have things set up, it's like you could have the king room, but you could also have like with like the mobility shower or something. It's like, it's like, hey, it's just I don't know. I don't want that in my hotel room. So like when you're booking over the phone, it's you never know what you're gonna get to a certain degree. Plus, with this phone call, with this phone number, if you ever call this number, you call in. You don't have a phone tree, right? You just get it right on whoever it is. And with the Aspire card, despite the fact that it costs $100 more per year to hold, you have to get in line with the poors on the phone tree. And you got to wait for everyone to, deal with everything. And, you just got to wait. And, it's not good customer service. That's not a premium travel card. So,
That's just not true.
So, yeah. but yeah, so this one, yeah, there are, I'll meet your concession with a concession, 85,000 points. Doesn't get you as much. It still gets you Ritz-Carlton in Hawaii for the summer, which is nice. But yeah, there are some properties like you're not going to be able to stay at the St. Regis in New York or something like that on this one in particular. So I'll give you that one.
Yeah, we want the St. Regis with the butler in New York. All right, we want the butler room. We don't want a non-butler room. Look, I will say, I think you're wrong. I think it's very easy when I booked it just the other day. I called up the free night certificate line. Within one ring they answer, and then I put my numbers in, whatever. It's a 10-minute process. It's nothing that crazy. And then when I go through, I made sure it was the specific room. I said I want the view, Lugano. I want the junior suite, and then he read it back to me a couple times, and I got that exact room. So I won't concede that. I think it's fine. I think you can take 10 minutes to use a more superior product, that being the Hilton free nights to give it. But I want to bring up a point here. So you mentioned the $300 travel credit on the Ritz, and you just complained about calling in. And it's very boomer, but we all know how you're getting your travel credit on the Ritz. All right, you can't just swipe and pay and then get a statement credit. All right, you got to call in, you got to talk to somebody, you got to say, all right, what are these actually for, and then hopefully the guy on the phone lets you use your credit. You never know, they might just spit in your face. They might not actually let you actually use the credit. You never know. But with Hilton. With Hilton, you get two, not only just one credit, but you get two separate credits that you don't have to call in. You could just use.
Oh, I'm glad you brought up the credits. I can't wait to jump on you about that.
All right, we'll see. All right, we have we have two things, right? Actually, we got multiple things. Let's lay them all out if we want to. We got a $400 Hilton resort credit that we're using at resort properties. A lot of people like to, like I've been talking about, prepaying their incidentals at resort properties. They get there, it's an amazing stay. In the past, we've talked about this offline. I still don't know if it's true or not. In the past, I remember people saying they would do prepaid reservation rates and they would pay now and it would code as long as it's a Hilton resort and they can, essentially prepay. I don't know if that's still the case. People have talked about it a little bit. Maybe you have other insights afterwards. But I think that credit's super. Yeah, I think that credit's super easy to use. It's $400 in value. Even that alone brings your annual fee down to $150 if we're getting into the argument of annual fees. On top of that, you also get a really easy to use, simple to use $200 flight credit that works towards everything. Like you got check bags, you want to buy a $200 flight, you want to, I think even seat upgrades, all these different things, anything that has to do with a flight. You pay with your Aspire, $50 per quarter, and you'll get that statement credit back every every quarter. And then not to mention 199 clear credit if you don't have another card that has that. So I just think the credits are super easy. You don't have to talk on the phone. To your point, if it's really annoying to talk on the phone, then Aspire is easier for the credits, right?
Yeah, that's true. Well, let's talk now that you have opened the door. Let's talk about the Hilton Resort credit. So first of all, we talked about according to the official things that everyone kind of understands how the whole thing works, is it has to be because sometimes when you book a prepaid stay, it goes through Hilton Central booking, right? And so if it does that, then you don't get the credit at all. Now there's a chance that it doesn't do that, but it's difficult to figure it out. But also there is it's not a super secret list, but it's a list that's kind of difficult to get to because you have to go looking for it specifically. And you can't just say, I want to search for resorts in Hilton, because there's some resorts that don't qualify for the Aspire credit. And there's some that do qualify that aren't technically resorts. And so basically this whole program is like, you have to go to a website and you have to double check it before you book. And you have to do it regularly because they update the list without telling anybody. It's nice, but if you have a resort that you're going to and you plan on using this, $200 each, every 6 months credit, you might be out of luck.
Well, I think it's easy to say, the Hilton Resort credit, it might code this way, it might not code this way. Well, look, a lot of us, we'll do refundable rates, but not even factoring that in. I think if you look at the list, the resort list, the ones that aren't on the list are ones that you're probably never going to go to anyway, right? I mean, is everybody with me who's watching? I mean, it's very likely that the hotel that you're looking for to use your resort credit, it's probably in Timbuktu. It might even be on the moon. It might be a place that you're just not going to go to, but it has such a large amount. If you just search for any of them, there's such a wide swath of hotels you can use that resort credit on. I don't buy that it's super limiting. People love the Aspire, right?
Well, you certainly seem to. Okay, great. So you'll be able to use your Aspire card, and get those credits. That's awesome.
I'm not going to concede anything, by the way. I'm only going to rebut. I'll never, unless we switch sides. We'll switch sides.
Yeah, right. We might later. You might win me over.
Right.
But one thing that I did want to talk about. So first of all, so we have the Aspire card, which it seems a little unfocused to me. So is this a premium hotel card? Or is it a travel card? What is it, right? So the reason I'm saying that is because it has the clear credit. It doesn't give you TSA pre-check or global entry or anything like that. And it doesn't give you any lounge access either. Sure, you get lounge access at the hotel, but then you can't, nobody sees how great you are when you're in line waiting for the lounge at the airport. However, the Ritz-Carlton card, it's very focused. It has a airline incidental / travel credit. And it has unlimited lounge access. So I'm going to say that again, unlimited lounge access. So first of all, it does not cost anything to add authorized users to this card. But here's the thing, those authorized users can also invite however many people they want to into the lounge. And according to the terms and conditions, it would be allowed.
I hit my desk, but I know the camera will fall.
Did I just win?
Damn it. Don't bring up the authorized users. All right. I don't want to hear about the authorized users. Listen, it's going to get nerfed. It's going to get patched. It's not going to exist, for much longer. It's not, how long can we go on issuing 99 authorized users? Not like I'm a recipient of one at all. Anyway, I like what you said. Like it's an unfocused card, but I think you're wrong. Actually, I think it's one of the more focused cards if you really think about it. The Aspire is one of those cards that is nearing being able to help you with a large amount of your travel experience. Like if you think about it, Clear is cool. I've used it a few different times. It got me through faster than TSA people if you're at those particular airports. So most people get TSA through other means. They'll get that from their other cards, and even no annual fee cards. So I'm not too worried about that. And if they can keep expanding clear, though, that would be cool. That would be helpful.
That would be nice.
But but it's also don't shortchange American Express, right? So it has the flight credit, so it's actually able to cover a bit of your flight experience. Not to mention people who use that credit for their United Travel Bank, so they just build up their cash in there. From that $200 credit every single year, keep building it up. Pay cash for a United flight. So it's able to buy you a flight. It's able to get you a hotel room every single year with its free night certificate. Heck, if you need help with the itinerary, it even has access to the Amex concierge service, much like the Platinum card does. So if you need help booking some reservations, for hard to get, restaurants, it can help you out with that. So I feel like it's just covering, and don't forget your $400 resort credit, which, depending if you're able to use it, all those different things, fine. I'll give you that caveat. But every single a year that you hold this card, you have an easy airport experience. You can possibly get a cheap flight with United, unless you just keep building it up. And you get guaranteed, basically, I would say, either one night or 2 nights in a Hilton hotels every year. If you do one night, then you're gonna have a good time if you prepay those incidentals with the resort credit. But if you're staying there. But I think, come on, that's a whole vacation. I mean, the Ritz ain't getting me a vacation like that, is it?
Well, so you got the free night, right? So there's
Okay.
that. But also, you can get 6 points per dollar with Marriott. So, if you keep spending on it, eventually you might be able to get a free night on spend.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's the biggest selling point. Now, I felt like I was losing for a second, so I'm glad you brought that up. So so Hilton Aspire, I mean, come on. Hilton Aspire, from day one, they're giving you Hilton Diamond status. And if you don't have any other cards that give you access to, like, Hilton Gold, Hilton Diamond, I mean, that's literally worth its weight in gold, or in this case, diamonds. It'll give you more money than most of these annual fees, even combined, depending on how much you're staying at Hilton's. Right off the bat, if we're just talking earnings power, you can see on the screen right here. Thank you for helping me debate, partner.
Yeah.
You're going to be getting 14. Let's say if you're paying cash, which sometimes we're doing, sometimes we're not. I'm paying cash recently for some stays. That's 14
Yeah.
points per dollar spent. Multiply that by your diamond status base points is
Hmm.
34 points per dollar spent. So it's a 17% return at the lowest redemption rate. More often than not, you can get more than that, though. So, maybe a 20% return on all your spend. For Marriott, if you're just getting 6x, and then I don't know what gold gives you. I think it gives you like upwards to 18 points, something like that total
Yeah.
with your
So
gold.
Marriott actually has this helpful little
Yeah.
math problem
All
on
right.
their.
Make it
So you
easier.
get 6 points per dollar on Marriott. Yeah. In case you want to do some math on your vacation, you get 6 points per dollar when you use your card. 10 points just for being a Marriott Bonvoy member, and then additional 2.5 for being Gold Elite gets you 18.5 Marriott points per dollar on your spend.
All right. Well, how much? What's your average redemption, you'd think, on your Marriotts lately?
So, for the redemptions for the Marriott points, I actually was able to take a look at a couple for a video that I did last week, where I was able to get 1 to 1.28 cents per point on Marriott redemptions. Now, of course, these are higher line properties, but that's also kind of what we're dealing with Hilton, right? Because if you're redeeming these Hilton points at the Hilton Garden Inn in Dubuque, Iowa, then you're not getting 1 cent a point, right? You're getting closer to like 0.4 or 0.5 cents per point.
So let's not make fun of anybody from Iowa. All right. We love
No, yeah,
Dubuque.
of course. We
We
love
absolutely love.
Iowa. Yeah.
We
I
love.
was just picking a random place. Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, I look. You know what's funny? I hate to say it, but I actually found like a 1.1 cent per point in Iowa. I think like a year or two
Did you
ago in a
really?
video. Dude,
Oh,
I
wow.
think it was literally like a stupid, like a normal, like a 20K a night or 30K a night, something like that. But I
Yeah.
can see your point. Yeah, yeah. So as far as redemption rates, I mean, honestly, lately I've been getting closer to 1 cent per point. So I do think, depending on how much you're redeeming for, it actually could be kind of similar. But I still think probably Hilton wins a little bit. But But another thing, which is my favorite part of Hilton Gold or Hilton Diamond or just Hilton status in general, is when you're gold and above, you're going to have access in the U.S. to the daily dining credits. This has literally, paid my Amex Platinum fees, many years ago when I was, doing more of those kind of Hilton stays. For a simple 5-night stay like I did in Wilmington, North Carolina a couple of years ago. I always like to bring that up because it has the best burger in the world. If you ever go there, go enjoy it. But
I'm
that was
gonna have to.
$30 per day because it was a Tapestry hotel. So that's $150 that I was able to get back in burgers, for that gold status. All of that, especially that's just one stay, in 1 year, one 5-day stay. But this, think about it for this year. I think I have upcoming like 12 Hilton stays coming up or 10 Hilton stays coming up that I very likely
Wow.
will get my continental breakfast or daily dining credits. So it's like that's going to add up to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And the same can't be said for status with Marriott's. And let's probably not best to talk about status with Marriott if you're, here in the States. I mean, you would want to do that, would you?
No, you're right. And since you conceded something earlier, I guess I'll concede this. Like, the gold elite status is kind of like this is the what are you kidding feature of this card, right? Like gold
Yeah.
elite status doesn't even get you free breakfast at a place. You got to have
Yeah.
platinum or above for that. And that's not even guaranteed either if you have platinum, right? With Marriott properties, they have made it very clear that the hotel owner is the customer of the brand. And if the hotel owner doesn't want to give you free breakfast, even though you're
Mm,
supposed to get it, well, you're not getting it. So,
yeah.
that is one problem with Marriott. And that's honestly one of the reasons why I actually don't use this card very often when I stay at Marriott.
Really?
And so the reason why is because, so first of all, where is that sucker? You know what? If you pay in the portal in advance through Fine Hotels or Resorts or the Hotel Collection,
Mm,
this gives you 5 American Express points per dollar. So I would much rather have 5 American Express points than
mm.
6 Marriott points. Plus, you're also earning anyway, just because all the rest of the multipliers are just from status and everything. Anyway, so
That's so true. That's so true.
yeah,
Actually, every time that I've stayed at a Marriott in the last like few years has all been through a portal, either MasterCard luxury hotels or Amex, FHR and stuff. So legit. It's powerful that way. I like it that way. I like Marriott
yeah.
in those ways.
That is nice. Yeah, and I mean, honestly, Marriott, and that's why I guess that's one of the pro things about this card too, is like, they have a lot of interesting properties in probably the most amount of places, right? So like, it's Hilton kind of does the Hyattification of some of their lower tier brands. Like, you go into if someone kidnapped you, and you found out that you were in a Hampton Inn room,
Hmm.
you would not be able to tell people where you were because it's
Huh.
the same no matter where it
Yeah.
is, right? And it's
Hmm.
really good at the branding, but if you're looking for something that's not cookie cutter-ish, Marriott's going to have the most amount of properties that are available for you that can answer those questions for you.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. So if I'm ever being kidnapped, I'd rather be kidnapped in like a Moxie or something like that. Marriott Moxie.
Yeah,
I think that would be cool.
exactly. Because at least then your kidnappers are kind of hip.
Yeah. So
Oh
what's
man.
the rundown here? So I guess I'll say what I concede, and then maybe you can, and then we can maybe meet some common ground. I'll say
Yeah.
I think you're 100% right. I think lounge access, the ability to issue authorized users, and they can get lounge access. I mean, heck, probably gonna be flying to Boston in a not so distant future. I'm gonna use that Ritz to try to get into the Sapphire Lounge in there. I could not do that with an Aspire. I couldn't do anything with the Aspire. It's just, it's clear. And then I got to go sit at the terminal. That's about it. Insurances. I've been talking to more and more people. You've talked about your insurances on the Ritz, like the car,
Mhm.
like flat tire issues, stuff like that. They'll cover that. The emergency illness when you're in another country, like that's all really good stuff that I don't believe is on the Aspire. I think the Aspire just has, like baggage insurance and trip delay insurance, if I'm not mistaken, like a few of those things, which is okay.
Mhm.
Let me see. Yeah, car
It has cell phone
rental, baggage
insurance
insurance,
too,
trip
I
delay,
think.
cell phone insurance. Yeah. Hmm. So I concede on insurance, lounge access, and I think Yeah, I think that's about it. I do. Yeah, I do actually think the concierge for Ritz is better than the Amex concierge as well. Amex
Yeah,
concierge kind of went downhill, but Ritz Carlton has a special concierge. It's the J.P. Morgan, concierge. So they're really good.
they
So I think
are.
those
Yeah.
three parts alone is really good. My only thing about the Ritz is like it might take a little while, which I don't mind. Um, and I wonder how long that travel credit exists in its form currently. I hope it never
Well,
has an issue, but I
so
wonder.
I kind of get that, like, because this card, and it's the reason why it still has a $450 annual fee, right? Is it hasn't been refreshed in a while.
Mhm,
In fact, the last refresh was when they decided to start reissuing them as metal cards because they stopped doing that for a little
mhm,
bit. But I think the reality here is that, like, Marriott doesn't have the ability with Chase to just unilaterally change things like that. Because when you're
mm,
dealing with credit card agreements with Marriott, it's Chase and Amex are part of the game here.
mm,
So, like, I think that there's definitely been a stratification of where, Amex is definitely trying to claim the high end market with the Bonvoy Brilliant card. And so,
mm,
like, if the Ritz were to be adjusted, I think Amex would probably try to, if they do have a legal authority in the fight, they would probably try to exercise it.
interesting.
So, yeah. So, corporate America, you gotta hate it at its worst, but love it at its best. It might protect the Ritz in its current form for at least a little bit longer.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I would like to
yeah,
actually have the card maybe one day, maybe not right now, but yeah, I could definitely see that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess it's my turn to concede. So one thing that I really, really like is how these two cards work together, the Platinum
Mm,
and the Aspire card. And so I'm going to kind of expound on that. So they have a little bit of overlap, right? Both give you access to Resi's Global Dining Access Program, which I've actually have used successfully to get reservations in New York City and things like that, where
nice.
I wouldn't have otherwise, right? Because it gives you on, like, the wait list. If someone cancels, you get a push notification. You can make that
Mhm,
reservation immediately. That's nice, and both those cards have it. But one thing that is interesting is that, so the Platinum card gives you the Hilton Gold status, which already gets you that dining credit or free breakfast. But this gives you Diamond status. But it also gives you that clear credit that you were talking about. So if you're someone who has, say, this card, and you don't want to have, like, say, the business platinum or something, but you want to give player two their own clear credit, holding this card is, it's at least $100. I don't value it at $200, but $116 is what they charge you if you want to add someone to your clear account. So,
mm,
yeah. So if we talk about the fact that this one has a $400 resort credit if you're able to use it, $200 airfare credit, but also that clear credit if you value it at $116. Like, yeah, they're basically paying you essentially to hold the card. And so, that's a huge grain of salt when you credit card YouTubers say they're paying you for the card.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, it works out really well. And another thing that's really great too is
Mhm,
that American Express points are the only currencies that transfer 1 to 2 with Hilton. I believe that Bilt only transfers 1 to 1. It seems like that's
mm,
my understanding. Please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But so if you need something, so if you do want to, say, use your free night award, you can easily get some value by transferring over your Amex points to Hilton. And at some of those properties, like the Conrad down here, or even the Waldorf down here, like, the room rates can
mm,
get up to $800-900 a night. And
yeah,
so, you know, that's not a terrible value. If you're getting 2 Hilton points and you're getting about a cent a point for Hilton, then that's 2 cents a point for Amex, and that's kind of, the points guy's dream, right? So, they work really well together, and I will give them that. So that's nice. But, and I guess it's assuming too, maybe that's why they don't give the lounge access on the Aspire card, because they're assuming they want you to have the Platinum card. And so, I guess
yeah,
in that way, it kind of makes sense.
yeah.
But
It's
yeah,
true.
and yeah,
Mm.
so yeah, I love I love my Ritz card, but I think you might be winning me over. The Aspire card might be worth keeping keeping next year.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think Aspire. I actually do think Aspire is a little better, just because of how I guess I'm considering traveling. But yeah, I do. I maybe slightly. I don't know. Depends. It depends. I like the Ritz for what it is. they're to be honest, they're probably pretty even as, as
Yeah,
as far as actually cards are concerned. You might put them on the same playing field. It's just that freaking Aspire. It's just like you can really enhance a stay. You can really book a lot of stays. I think it's just so good for that. But I can see
yeah,
your point. Yeah, I mean, both these cards together. I mean, what is that? $900 or no, it's $1,000 a year
yeah.
for both cards. But crazy lounge access. You got, get through the airports a little easier. You have 2 free night certificates. You could possibly get, a few day vacation every single year and help you through the whole flight process too. Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's
I
true.
like the combo actually. Hmm,
Yeah. So everybody needs to get a Ritz Carlton card and a Hilton Aspire card.
that's
That's
all.
the
Yeah, that's
yeah.
it. Get 2 of them. Get 3 of them.
And honestly, I feel like that's kind of why I wanted to discuss the Ritz Carlton card instead of the Bonvoy Brilliant card, right? So because like
Yeah.
it's similar multipliers, and so it's the same reasons why you won't use it every day. And yeah, the Bonvoy Brilliant gets you platinum status,
Mhm.
but you still have the exact same free night award. You still have, you do have the dining credits, but I feel like the Ritz Carlton card is almost a little bit stronger just because of, again, like the access to the JP Morgan concierge and some of the other Chase protections and the Visa Infinite protections that you get are really nice.
Mhm.
But what do you think about Visa Infinite versus American Express?
Oh, I mean, hands down, Visa Infinite destroys American Express. Yeah, 100%. Like it's not even close, because it's like when you talk to them, like Calby did a whole video outlining Mastercard versus Visa Infinite from like a Sapphire Reserve versus the JP Morgan concierge from the Ritz-Carlton card and then American Express. And it's just like American Express, you call them on the phone, you say, "Hey, can you help me with my itinerary?" They're like, "Okay, go to getyourguide.com and then do it
Oh yeah.
yourself." We can't help you, unfortunately. They used to years ago. They used to be able to like book a whole itinerary, book tours, they'll help you do all that. They don't do that anymore.
Mhm.
So now MasterCard and Visa Infinite are really the ones that can do that now. Um,
Yeah,
you
and
know,
let's talk about Get Your Guide for a minute. Like, it's just like
it's
it's the Dollar General version of Viator, honestly. Like, it
I
kinda
never thought about
sucks.
it, but yeah.
Like, like, they do have, like, the standard guides, like, and it's just like, if you would just wanna be like, "Oh, you need to see, the Vatican when you're in Rome," if you need to be
Mm,
told that, you go to getyourguide.com, you know?
right. Yeah.
Um
There's a big rounds thing where people used to fight in Rome. If you're unaware
oh,
of what it
man,
is, it's the
I
college.
might
It's
have
called the
to hit that
college.
up.
Get your guy will teach you what that is.
Yeah. But yeah, and so yeah, I love I love I love Viator more than Get Your Guide, and but I do love having access to the concierge. In fact, my wife and I are kind of thinking about a trip to New York, and I might be hitting them up to try to help us get us into the Polo Bar, which we weren't able to get last year. So
Oh yeah,
we'll
nice.
see.
Another
Yeah.
part I do like about the concierge versus Amex is with the Ritz, you can call in and you can likely have them book a hotel on your behalf and be considered a travel agent, so you can get like the Hyatt Privé and the Hilton
Oh,
Impresario, and you could
nice.
book those special programs, kind of like Mastercard does.
Oh, that's
But like
cool.
Amex doesn't do that. Like the only way you have access to their special partners, as far as I'm aware, is just Platinum Card.
Hmm.
That's about it. You can get the hotel collection with the gold card, but I mean, how many people are booking hotel collections? Not many in our space for sure. We're trying to pay with points or one night, and that's it.
Yeah. And honestly, like, for aspirational travel, if you're doing like a weekend trip, like 2 nights is kind of pushing it anyway.
Hmm.
Especially when you think about with the FHR, you get the early check-in and the late checkout. And
Yeah.
so like if you're going on a weekend trip, Saturday you check in, late Sunday you check out, and then you head to the airport, like, that's all you need, you know.
So many Valentine's days were spent at FHR hotels for me over
That's
the years
incredible. I love that.
for that exact reason.
Yeah. So one last question. I know I don't. I know you have other things that you have to do today, but one last question I wanted to ask you: which one would you most likely spend with their hotel partner? So would you be more likely to spend at Hilton properties or the Ritz Carlton at Marriott properties?
100% Hilton. I just find on average when I'm like doing comparisons, like I think Marriott's can get fairly cheap too, but at least a lot of the Hiltons I've been looking at, like for the most part, like it's a math equation on like cash versus points. But I don't know. I also haven't gone super hard with Marriott, so I haven't looked at a lot of it. But just from what I've seen, like Hilton. Like I recently booked a stay a couple nights. It's 100,000 points, but then I looked at it and I was like, oh wait a second, it's only €200 a night. I'm like, oh wait a second, this is likely only like $300 in cash, like USD.
Yeah.
Would I pay $300 for 100,000 points? Yes. So I'm actually, I have to do that after this. I have to cancel that, get my 100,000 points back, and then just pay cash for it. Marriott's, I feel like over the years, because I used to book them a lot when I wasn't in the points and miles game. I'd book a lot of courtyards and stuff like that. And I feel like they were almost always like, yeah, $250, $300, cash for like the lowest end stuff. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I just don't look at it nowadays. But I think probably Hilton, if I have to pay cash, just because multipliers, even the surpass, like good multipliers and stuff.
Yeah. And like I've definitely seen where, and this is kind of like where Hilton's weakest point, it also becomes a strength, right? Because like if you're go looking at a road trip and you're like, oh, I can stay at the Hampton Inn, or I'm sorry, the Hilton Garden Inn. I know it's a sensitive subject, but if you're staying there and you can spend 40,000 points to stay there, or you can just pay $150 or $200 on your card, like. Yeah, honestly, I'd rather just do that. But I know Dugras would probably disagree with us because he's got some epic proportions of using his points to fund everything. But
he just coughed somewhere in the world. He just,
yeah,
100 cash.
Right.
What the hell? And
Yeah.
I don't blame him. I don't blame him.
No,
But
yeah.
I'm just like 100K points. That could get me a nice SLH somewhere for
100%.
1,000. 1/7 point, like 1,000.
Yeah.
1,000.
Like I'm looking at some SLH properties in Scotland that are like actual legit castles. And like, yeah, I'm definitely going to save my Hilton points for that.
Yeah, legit.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much. I think you convinced me. I think I'm going to keep my Aspire card and my Ritz-Carlton card. So thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. Yeah.
No
I
problem.
guess the Hilton King reigns supreme.
Unreal. And I need to get an Aspire for myself one day. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely, it's relatively easy to use both those credits. At least I hear. That's what I hear. So,
right.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks so much for joining me. And once again, for all of you in on YouTube, thanks so much for joining us as well. I'm sure you guys have some thoughts and emotions about what we talked about. So please let me know about that in the comments below. You can also email me at any time. It's it'll be in the description if you have any other comments that you'd like to leave. But thanks so much for joining us, and I'll see you next time.
Subscribe to Phil.
Yeah, subscribe, please. Thank you so much.